Let's talk about money mindset. Investing in mentors these days, I guess depending on where you look, but it's not cheap. It is not cheap. I actually love that about mentorship. Whenever I decide to invest in somebody, in a coach, which is really just investing in myself, I of course have to feel aligned with them. Like I love what you do for a living. I love who you are as a person. I agree, with most of your personal views. So let me get some of that. Let me get some of that energy. That's how I feel when I'm looking to be mentored by somebody. Welcome to Mindset Mastery with Julissa.Edwards, the podcast dedicated to helping high performers unlock their true potential and cultivate a powerful mindset for success. I'm your host, Julissa.Edwards, a mindset coach and advocate for healthy high performance. Join me on this transformative journey as we delve into strategies, insights, and inspiring conversations with experts and thriving high performers. Get ready to master your mindset, elevate your performance, and create a life of purpose and fulfillment. Let's dive in. Hello, welcome back. All right, you guys. So today's episode, I really want to speak to you all about the importance of mentorship and why that has been such a crucial indicator of my success within life, within my business. And I want to share how to how to make the most of mentorship. Okay, so I knew, and I think this is important for everyone to check in with themselves as to what type of learner, observer, student you are in life. What works best for you? I always um, implore my clients to take inventory as to what's working in your life and what's not, with a non judgmental bias of what that is for you. Looking in the mirror, seeing what has helped you win along the path of life and what's deterred you from success. And when I say to have an unbiased or non judgmental viewpoint of that, I really want us to just be the observer and maybe make a list of a part of my brain is so analytical, and it's great because it allows me to not have emotion in there. And then, as you know, as we'll talk amongst other podcasts and episodes, that emotions are most definitely needed. But for the sake of observation, we really want to just look at the facts and see all of life's quote unquote failures, see it as a direct insight as to what is not working for us. And so I go to the notion of what kind of a student are you, an observer, and how is it that you intake information best? And how is it that you actually put action into ideas? I think one of the best thing about mentorships is that it accelerates your path from I have a thought for my life and the direction that I want it to go versus I am actually going to be taking steps in this direction and I'm going to be holding myself accountable, or at least your coach or your mentor is, right? And so what I love about mentorship is that it is someone who is completely on your side, rallying for you, supporting you, and also is a little bit wiser than you in said area, right? Whatever you're being mentored in. And so I'll even bring it to sports. Growing up, I knew that I loved being coached. Probably in high school, when I was in high school or like grammar school, being coached for a softball league. I grew up, I think as many of us do, wanting to, well, I'll just speak for myself. I grew up from a young age learning that I like to be my best self. And I like to be guided there. I do well with directions, or I take directions well. And it's within me to want to make my coach, parents, mentor proud, teachers. I've always been that way. If I was in a class and the room was silent after a professor or a teacher asked a question, I felt that it was my duty to respond. Not only, and it wasn't in a people pleasing format, it was I have an opportunity to say something, I know what the answer is, or I know, or or simply I want to share my input, and I value. I think that's the biggest thing too. I value my mentor, my professor, my coach so much at this time that I don't want to leave them in the dust. If they're asking a question, I want to be the one to answer. Or if I'm playing softball, if he's telling me to turn my glove this way, I'm going to work really hard on doing that so that I can show him that I am listening to him and that I value his perception and his guidance and that I'm taking this relationship serious. I think that is the most profound thing for me when it comes to mentorship, is that I honor my mentor. I truly love my mentor, and energetically, I want to fully show up for them because that means that I'm fully showing up for me. And so it most definitely began with sports for me when I was younger. And then when I went to college, I joined a sorority, and I was really intrigued by Greek life, specifically cultural orgs, because I saw the demand in discipline and respect that they had for their deans or the individuals that led them through that certain process. And I really admired that. Coming from high school, my best learning experience and mentorship most definitely came from being a cheerleader. I was on a competitive cheerleading team, and my coaches were amazing, like absolutely amazing, beautiful human beings. And they loved us so hard. Like our second mothers, in high school, you're at the tender age of what, 13, 14 to 17, 18, right? And so those are such critical and crucial years of existence, of emotions and learning and school, and becoming a leader, and preparing yourself should you be going to college for the next level of leadership and accountability, and being like a professional student, if you may, right? And so yeah, my cheerleading coaches, like, they looked out for us not only, on the team and our goals and success of the year, of that competitive year, but also our interpersonal lives, our health, what we were eating, our grades. It wasn't just so that we could stay on the team. They had high standards for us, and I love when someone has a high standard for me. I don't feel it as like an obligation or something of pressure. It's like, thank you for viewing me so highly. I also see myself in that manner, and I want to prove us both right. So whatever goals you see for me, I most definitely want to achieve them and more. And so an example of that, I think in high school, like, you had to have a C plus or above, to remain on a athletic team. And I believe my coaches demanded like a B plus or better. Right. And so that was great. Comparison, even in my sorority, we kind of had a similar thing where, God, I can't remember specifically, but I think it was like on a national, I'm a part of a national sorority. And on a national level, we had to have like, oh, I don't know, like a 2.8 or something of that sort, 2.5 maybe, to pledge to be, an hermana in our sorority. And I think my chapter held us to a 3.0 standing. And not to say that everyone that crossed upheld that, but that was the goal. And many of us had 3.0s or higher online, and even post pledging, right? Continuing that great GPA even after having gone through the process while still upholding the chapter. And running, if you know anything about Greek life, it's like running a small business. It's really what helped me, I think, lay down a good foundation for my business today. We were running programs and educating individuals on campus about different things and literacy and a whole bunch of other wonderful, educational topics. And it once again allowed me to be a leader. It pushed me past my own limits, things that I didn't think I was capable of doing. And it allowed me to do that because we had big sisters, if you may, holding the bar higher for us. And we also had them as examples of like, oh my God, they're doing so great in their lives. And I want to be, that's an inspiration, and I want to be like them. Even now, I am deeply connected to my sorority sisters. And we're very much in touch, and they get to see us be mothers and business owners and individuals who work in beautiful companies like Google or just doing so many amazing things. And the mentorship piece within that is what I really crave in life. And even when if you know anything about human design, I am a manifester. And when I was reading my human design, if you don't know what that is, just Google human design and type in your information, your birthday, your location, and it literally spits out amazing information of who you are as a person and all this amazing like cool jazz. Just you won't regret it. Look into it. But when I looked into mine, it had stated that I do best in life with a mentor. I do best in life when someone is rooting for me, and guiding me and teaching me the way. So, why is mentorship so crucial? A crucial part of the success within my business. So, for me, even the essence of being in someone's loving and impactful energy can sometimes be enough. You can probably feel this with individuals in your everyday life. Maybe you have that friend who's always, spitting knowledge or always uplifting you, or a friend or a cousin who is the life of the party. Like, energy is real, and we humans transfer energy all the time. And when we want to be in close proximity to people who are living their lives in the way that we desire to live ours. Okay. And it's never they are better than me. They're simply a little bit ahead in the life that you seek to live. The beautiful thing, and I'll bring this back even to like college again. So I taught at my alma mater for I think 4 years. Post grad, I taught psychology, a couple of different courses in psychology, and I remember thinking the critical importance and the value that I brought to my university, my alma mater, being a professor, because I was in the field of psychology, mental health counseling. I was already a therapist, and I was able to bring my students real life experience alongside book knowledge. Both are essential and needed. And if anything, being such an academic driven person my entire life, honor roll, dean roll, like, dean's list, always aiming to have the best grades and all this leadership skills. And, I was a nerd. I loved all those things. And I also was super social. So I've always been the person that wants the best of all worlds. Like, I want to be in everything and I want to have success in all things. And so, with that being said, in college, getting my master's in mental health counseling, I remember loving first of all, I mean, I'm a nerd, so I loved all my professors for the most part, but I remember loving the professors that had real world experience in the field that I wanted to be in, which was to be a counselor at that time, to be a therapist. And it was such a grand difference when a professor was able to give us insight as to what the real world was going to look like post grad in this field of psychology versus only knowing textbook knowledge. And now, listen, textbook knowledge is important. It's literally, especially when we talk about psychology, it's all about studies and research, and all of that information has allowed us to expand more on the mind and the human, and take us to greater lengths as to what works and what doesn't, right? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, and we need it. It's so important to read and to re-up on our certifications, or continue to and immerse yourself in knowledge within your said industry. We want to stay on top of the game. That is most definitely important. And what I'm also saying is that real life experience, especially when it comes to mentorship, is just as important. I would even argue maybe even more. Okay, and so that's really what mentorship really highlighted for me when it came to my business. I was able to learn from somebody that was in a place that I desired to be in. My very first business coach, her name is Taylor Ray, and she was able to give me insight of what was possible for me. She was young at the time. This was like maybe 4 years ago, 3 years, I guess, yeah, 4 or 3 years ago. And it was the first time I ever invested in anything other than education. I want to talk about that too, money mindset and the comfortability that we need to have, and the knowledge when it comes to investing, having a good ROI or return of investment, and what that means and how we can decipher those things, right? And so I will say that my whole life I grew up being very logical, very analytical. Even when it came to my emotions, ironically, I became a therapist. But even when it came to my emotions, I was always really good, almost to a fault, at like pushing them to the side to just review data. And I remember, having gone to therapy and then also my mentors, within business, everybody would always point it out. They'd be like, Julissa, just you have to lean in a little bit more to your emotions. And how funny, being that I was a whole therapist, still struggling with this from time to time. And so, yeah, my first business mentor, she gave me a view, a beautiful panoramic view of what my life could really be. You know, mindset, we talk so much about like limiting beliefs and growth mindset versus fixed mindset, and it's all so real and so imperative. And a mindset coach can really take you to places in your life. Can really push past your boundaries and really help you see what's possible. Many times in life, all times in life, if you do not believe that you can get to X place, and you simply won't get there. And you need someone to open the door for you. You need someone to give you an inside look as to what their life looked like and what steps they took to get there, so that you could either literally copy and paste. You can do that, right? You can literally copy and paste, like, oh, you did X, Y, and Z. Let me do X, Y, and Z and C. I would say that in the beginning of a mentorship process or rapport with you and that person, it's probably like that a little bit, until at least I'll speak on my knowledge of me mentoring other people. The beautiful thing about my background is that while I'm a mindset coach, I'm also a licensed psychotherapist. So I do know the mind, the body, and the brain very, very well. And the more time that I get to spend with you, the more that I get to learn from you, observe you, and love you. And with all that love, passion, and knowledge, I can tailor my mentorship to you, because I know exactly what you need. And again, from a mentor standpoint, what's working for you and what's not, right? And I will say that takes time, love, patience, trust. Mentorship is such a beautiful opportunity to really have such divine partnership with your mentor, your coach. You get to be so vulnerable with them. And if you've been to therapy, it's a similar experience when it comes to vulnerability of, let's say for me, sharing my inside thoughts with someone that is guiding me at that time, and like literally holding nothing back. And that takes time and practice. And you do that with a therapist as well. The difference between therapy and coaching is that, with a therapist, you're usually healing emotional wounds, learning more about yourself, connecting the dots, all the things which are super important. And with a coach, they're usually taking you from point A to point B. Oh, you have a goal. We're trying to get there in 3 months' time, 6 months' time, whatever may have you. Or mini goals of like, okay, by next week I want X thing done, right? So they're giving you homework and all the things. And what I love about mentorship and all that I've learned is, I've culminated all that knowledge from being a therapist and also being in therapy, and then also being coached, and what that was like for me. And so blending all those beautiful parts in what my mentorship looks like. But I'm thankful for all those experiences for making me the great leader that I am today. And when it comes to me being in the mentee seat, again, such a beautiful opportunity to love that person from afar, love yourself so deeply that I'm showing up for both of us. right? They're showing up for me and I'm showing up for me and for you. And I want to make you proud and I want to make myself proud. And I also want to have some skin in the game. Let's talk about money mindset. Investing in mentors these days, I guess depending on where you look, but it's not cheap. It is not cheap. And that's okay. I actually love that about mentorship. Whenever I decide to invest in somebody, in a coach, which is really just investing in myself, I of course have to feel aligned with them. And I have to feel like, this is just for me personally, I have to feel like I could chill with you outside of mentorship. Like, I love what you do for a living. I love who you are as a person. I agree, with most of your personal views. And I like you. I want to chill with you. I respect you. I look up to you. And I think you're a badass. Like, I think you're amazing at what you do. So let me get some of that. Let me get some of that energy. That's how I feel when I'm looking to be mentored by somebody. And that synergy, that that energetic, it's a good word for it, fusion maybe, that happens between me and that other person when we talk and when we connect. It's like, oh my god, I love this. For me, it's been women. I love this woman. Like, she's such a badass leader and I want some of that. Give me some of that energy. Like, let it brush off your shoulders and let me receive it, because that is a real thing too. Simply being in community with that person, that alone can elevate you. That's what I was kind of going towards in the past when I was talking early in this episode, when I was saying, like, if you have a friend or someone who brings out that kind of energy, like, one conversation with them, it can be mind-blowing, mind-shifting, mind-changing. And those are the kind of people that you want to keep close to you, especially if they're leading you in the direction that you want to be in, right? And so if you can be easily, not easily, but if you can be blown away positively, expansively within a conversation with a person, or let's say we're on social media and by one of their posts or one of their lives, or if you listen to a podcast and you're just like, oh my god, this person is amazing, they helped me so much, right? Imagine what they could do for you with more intimate time together, whether they're offering one-to-one services or a group coaching program or whatever may have you. Imagine what you could do with being in. So I love one-to-one one-to-one mentorship, and I also love group coaching, and I'll tell you why. For me, I'll do group coaching first. Group coaching, it's such a powerful experience, an empowering experience to be a part of, because not only do you get to work with the coach that you fell in love with or are honoring or look up to at this time, you're also in a room with a bunch of their students that want to learn that coach's school of thought, right? Because they all also admire that coach. And so automatically you're going to have rapport with your colleagues, your cohort at that time. You're all in the same little bubble. You're taking notes and learning from said leader, and you're all there for the same reason, right? It's such an empowering thing to be a part of. You also, it can be competitive in a healthy way. Bring it back to me. I've been in containers for business coaching, and so when it comes to when it came to learning from them, and then also being in a container with other like-minded individuals, where we were bouncing ideas off of one another, learning each other's personal stories, you get to respect people for putting their skin in the game. Beginning your own business is not easy. It takes a lot of faith, a lot of courage, a lot of self-confidence, and so much more. Like, there's so much mindset work that goes into running a business, and also your hardcore analytical, administrative needs, learnings of how to run a business, sales, marketing, lead generation, growth, how to scale a business. What does that even mean? Like, all this business jargon that you learn, hopefully, with a business coach, right? And to the notion of being in a container with like-minded individuals, they're also learning with you, and you get people at different places of their business sometimes, right? You get individuals who are in the very beginning, or maybe a year in, or maybe 5 years in this versatile coach can mentor all of them, which is beautiful. And so it's just so cool and amazing to be in environments like that. So I think, if you're someone who loves to be a student like I do, mentorship is for you. And you'll thrive off of those things. And going back to cost, it'll cost, a good mentor will cost you a pretty penny. And it's 100% worth it. You know, we've normalized spending so much money on our education, and I love my college experience. I love my grad school experience. I loved high school. Like, I'm a nerd. I loved all of it. And what I will say is, I know I loved it more than some others because I put my skin in the game. I really went all out within leadership positions, social life, friends. Like, my college friends are some of my best friends till this day. And I graduated back in 2014, so it's about to be 10 years. We still keep up with each other. We still are a part of each other's lives, watching our children grow, going to baby showers, weddings, all the things, celebrating life milestones. And that wasn't because I was in the corner and I didn't go to any event or I didn't want to be a leader. It was because I was all those things, that I made connections. And literally, it was my first experience of networking with colleagues, with other students, with friends, right? And I didn't know then that it would be all that it is today, but I'm so happy I did it. So happy I did all the things. I'm so happy I was exhausted every day, most days in my college, career, because I was doing the most and I was learning. I was so eager and hungry for growth, right? And that part of me very much exists within me today. Becoming a mother and all the things have only amplified it for me. I will say it's probably gotten a little bit more challenging because I have more pieces of the puzzle to juggle, and I've had to prioritize what's really important for me at this time and all the things, but that's for another episode. But yeah, mentorship is what allowed me to get to where I am today in business. And it has been a major investment. I think my first year in business, I want to be accurate with the numbers. I was paying, I want to say my very, very first mentorship, and this is for like, it was at that time for like a beginner in business. I think I know I was paying 800 a month. I want to say the container was $4,000. And in hindsight, that's like nothing now. But at that time, it was a lot. At the time, it was a lot. And not because of just that it was $4,000, but it was like, oh my God, like, it's not like I'm putting a down payment on a car. I'm putting this money towards a person because I believe that they can get me to X place. And what I later learned throughout my mentorship experience is that it's more important to believe in yourself than it is to believe in the mentor. Like anything in life, you get what you put in. And so because I was a go hard and I wanted to be a great student in all the things, that just carried on within my mentorship experience within my business. And that means that I showed the F up. That means that whatever homework they assigned me, I was doing it. Whatever tasks or asks of leaps of faith that they were asking of me, I was doing it. And when I was struggling, I was telling them about it and I was asking for help. Like, just, I wanted the most out of this experience. And it's been life changing for me, to say the least. It's been extremely life changing for me. So I'm gonna give you like an inside look as to what each experience was like for me and how it helped me elevate in my career, in my business, right? So for those of you who don't know, I've kind of shared with you in the story, but I went from being a traditional psychotherapist, seeing clients, 9 to 5, regular life. I went from working in, oh God, so much. I worked in schools. I worked in substance abuse center for drugs and alcohol. I worked in private practice. I used to be the therapist knocking on people's doors for nonprofit agencies, like literally delivering therapy in people's homes. I worked with CPS, like you name it, I effing did it. I did it all when it came to therapist world. And then I kind of elevated in my career to private practice. And I got a little bit of a taste of what life could look like with a different type of income and different type of clientele, what it was like to take insurance, not take insurance, all the things. Anyway, all to say that then I shifted to the online world of coaching and mindset coaching at that. And I knew that I had the psychology part down because I was a really good therapist. And I had taken a couple of courses on mindset and all the things. And I was good in that area. But I didn't know how to run a business, let alone have the confidence to really put myself out there and start to sell things and all that jazz. So yeah, so first investment was 4K. And I remember, talking to my husband about it and being like, wow, that's going to be 800 a month for X amount of time. And yeah, like I don't think I've ever paid that much at the time that was equivalent to my mortgage, to the half of my mortgage that I was paying. Right. So I was like, yeah, this is kind of crazy, but like it feels right. It feels aligned. And that's when I really begin to nurture a relationship with my intuition and my spirituality, which is simply my connection to self. Right. So, first coach, Taylor Ray, she really gave me the inside look to, she was a young woman. I think she was like 26 at the time. I remember how confident she was in selling her products, how confident she was in knowing that she could get me from point A to point B, and how confidently she stated her price point. And I was like, wow, like that's amazing. Like I want to have that courage. I know that I bring all that worth to the table. Like, how do I get there? How can I get me some of this energy? Rub it on, rub it off to me, like literally. I want to rub shoulders with you. I want to be in the same room as you so that I can, of course, learn and be where you're at. Right. And so I signed the contract. We began working together. It was a group coaching forum. And yeah, it was wonderful. She was the one who allowed me or helped me create my first coaching program, which was the Mind Reset program. If you've been following me for some time, you know what that was for me. It was my baby. It was my first. She helped me make my first $1,000 in business, alongside doing some one-to-one work on the side with like bringing clients into my own practice at that time. But she was the first one to show me the importance of like time management and like all the positive effects for not only the student but also the teacher of having group containers, usually more affordable. And it's a win-win because you get to talk to 5 people at the same time, 10 people at the same time, and have a larger, sometimes even a bigger impact on them because of group learning. The student is not only learning from the mentor, the teacher, but they're also learning from each other, and they're building community and solidarity and communion with their colleagues. And let's just say, for example, purposes, I think literally, this is like back in 2020, if the assignment was like, go live, face your fears and go live and talk about your expertise on Instagram. If I saw my colleague doing it, it was like, Julissa, get your butt in gear and get to it, right? They're doing it, so can you. So it's wonderful. So yeah, she was the one who showed me a life of what was possible for me with my online business, and also to go against the odds, because at that time we were also in the pandemic, the peak of no, just beginning of it. And it was a thing where it was like, oh my God, this is not the time to begin a business. Obviously now we're much further, now we're like almost in 2024, we know it was the perfect time to begin a business. But I would say that in the beginning it felt like the odds were stacked against us, and we pushed and persevered. And we, like, not only was I making money in my 9 to 5, I was also making money in my business. And it was amazing. It was again amazing to see what was possible for me. So fast forward, I finished the program with her. I think it was like 6 months or something. And I literally it didn't even take me 2 weeks. I was in mentorship with my next coach, who I stayed with who I stayed with for some time, which was Melissa Ruiz. I have so much love for that woman. She really flipped my world upside down. She was someone who not only taught me business, but also really helped me heal. She was the one who really taught me that, the human comes first in business, in life, really. But like, if we're not well, then nothing else is well, let alone our business. So with her, I know this is in past time, so all these individuals' prices have definitely gone up since then. But I think, I think I was paying 1,500 a month with her. So something like that. And I'm sharing these prices to give you like a real inside look as to what this was for me. And it's not like I was bawling. I was a therapist. Therapists make like therapists make anywhere from like 40K to 60K. And maybe if you're in private practice, like maybe you're up to like 75, 80K, like, or if you're like a supervisor or whatever. Right. But like, it's, I was, I wasn't bawling. I wasn't racking in money or raking in money just yet, but I was making enough to want to make that investment, prioritizing all the things. And, 800 a month to 1,500 was a big leap. And, I was literally able to do it because of my first business coach. So if I'm just looking at the stats and the data and I'm looking at what's working, it's like, okay, I was scared to invest in the first one. I ended up being profitable. She showed me my first $1,000, which led to many $1,000s later in the business of in that program, Mind Reset. And then I went to my second coach, who cost a little bit more because she brought more value, to be honest. And it's not a thing of better or worse. It was like, she was the next level up for me. So I did it and I learned. I think I was with her for like 2 years. I learned so much from her, so much from her. And, with her, I was able to match my income. With her, I was able to make ballsy moves. With her, I hired um, my first contract worker in the business to help me with my first VA, virtual assistant, who's still with me today. She's no longer a VA. She's like literally my right hand, a woman in my business. But it began with her as far as like, hiring people to help me out with the business. Melissa was the one who taught me to look at my numbers, how much is coming in, how much is going out, how to track everything, how to see if I could really afford someone, paying this amount every month. And even that was scary of like, oh my God, like, can I actually continue paying them for 6 months? Like, will I have the revenue to do that? Like, all of that was a risk and all of that was really scary. And I had my coach at that time to literally hold my hand through it all, to make ballsy, scary moves. And like, I will say, this is like year one in the business where I was able to do this. And most people aren't able to do that. And to be honest, here's another great point of mentorship. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that most small businesses never hit the 6-figure mark. And I think we hit in business the 6-figure mark year two. And I mean cumulative. Yes. So when people say that we are a 6-figure business, a 7-figure business, that means that total sales amount to 6 figures, 7 figures, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? So people get that confused. 6-figure businesses, does that mean that you're hitting six figures within the year? It can, but it also we're talking about net, like an accumulation of profit, right? And I was able to hit 6 figures like a year and a half into my business. And that was huge. I think, oh my God, I wish I had the stats. I want to say that it was a high percentage, like a high percentage of business owners, let alone a woman-owned business, let alone someone of color, which I checked the boxes for both. It was a high percentage that they will never reach 6 figures. And I was like, what? That literally can't be right. And I remember thinking that because in Melissa's container, we were all women and almost all of us were minorities and or of color. And we were all in that 6-figure range for the most part. or at least very close to it. We were damn near getting, like 30K launches within our programs. Like, like it was really odd to think that most online businesses or business in general don't hit that six-figure mark. It's like, how? All of my colleagues, we're all in like year one, year two, and we're damn near hitting it, And so this is a container of like 8 to 10 people, and so it's so important to put yourself in containers with people who are motivated and they want the same thing that you want. They're hungry for the same thing. It's so much different than calling up a buddy and being like, hey, you want to start a business? Like, let's check in once a month. Like, cool, I applaud you for that, but it's not the same. It's not the same as putting skin in the game in terms of investing financially and investing your time and energy and being held accountable. And it's not only the accountability, it's that your coach is pushing and pushing and pushing for accelerated growth. That's what a coach does, right? And so all of that I got with Melissa, and it was so impactful. It changed my life. It allowed me to match my income from my 9 to 5, and then allowed me to have the courage, the balls, to be quite honest, to leave my 9 to 5 in a time where you would think that is not the right move. I was pregnant with my firstborn son, Marcus. And it was like, are you crazy? Are you crazy? This is like, there's always two sides of me, right? It's like, are you crazy, to leave your 9 to 5, quote unquote, stable income, to do this business full time, even though, my track record shows that like it's working, I'm making money, and it fluctuates, right? If you're in business, you probably know that like your income isn't the same every month like it is in a regular 9 to 5. You have really high months and you have really low months, and hopefully saved enough in the high months to figure it out. All those things are still existing for me now today as a business owner. It's the mindset piece that really helps you maneuver through all those challenges, right? And so I was pregnant. I think I remember I quit my job in November and I was due in May. So I had like 6 months to make sure that I one saved enough, because leaving a job meant that I didn't have maternity leave, that I was going to be literally relying on my own income to stash enough money for maternity leave and like literally do all these things by myself. And had it not been for my mentor, I wouldn't have been able to get there. And not only did I take the leap of faith, I tripled my monthly revenue. How fucking nuts is that? I tripled the money that I was making at my quote unquote safe 9 to 5. I then ended up tripling in my business with my monthly revenue. How insane is that? It really just went to show that like, had I not had a mentor at that time, I would have probably done both for a very long time. And listen, everyone's path is different or not. I'm not saying that my way is the right way. I'm just showing you the true value of mentorship and someone holding me and guiding me and giving me courage beneath my wings when I didn't have it for myself. Because to be frank, I think that I'm a very confident person in my ability to do things. And I'm also very competitive with self. And so when I set my eye on a prize, like I'm getting it. But I'm human and I have limiting beliefs and I have blocks and I have mindset issues that I still have to work through. No one is ever absolved from those things. And so I am always looking for the next mentor, or continuing, like renewing my time with one mentor, which I've done in multiple cases. And so she allowed me to leave my she helped me leave my 9 to 5, pregnant and all the things, tripled my monthly revenue, and again gave me more of an expansive experience as to what life could look like for me. At this point, I mean, I was already in, but then I was like really in. I'm like, there's no turning back from this. There's no turning back from this. And I will say from that point till now, there's been many highs. Like, holy shit, I cannot believe we hit this milestone in the business this soon. To many lows, and like, oh my God, what are we gonna do, and all the things. And what has helped me stay afloat time and time again, in the good times and bad, has been mentorship. So I really hope that I am giving you guys an energetic feel of the critical importance to be mentored by someone. Again, especially if you're trying to go from point A to point B really fast. Something that I always say as a mentor is I literally ask, not really for permission, but I kind of give like a warning. Because in what I do is, as I said before, I mix coaching and therapy. And really what that means, like I'm mixing coaching, mindset coaching to get you from point A to point B. And I'm sprinkling healing in there because we have to heal to expand. We have to heal to reach new lengths, to heal our old negative mindset patterns and all the things, right? And so I think I bring the best of both worlds in that essence. And I always ask or warn my clients before signing them on. Like usually we'll have a sales call. You know, if you're interested in working with me, we'll have a sales call. We meet each other. We make sure that we're aligned to work with one another. And if it's all great and jazzy, then we go ahead and sign contract, right? But before we do that, I literally always ask. If you've ever been a client of mine, you know that we've had this conversation, and I always say, like, hey, especially if you're someone who's only been to therapy and has never been coached before, I always say, hey, you're about to enter a very accelerated paced container, meaning that I'm going to pull you and expand you and stretch you in ways that you probably haven't been before. And that's going to be extremely challenging for you, because it is. It's what I experience when I hire my mentees or mentors to mentor me. It's literally why I hire them. I am almost, I don't want to say that I'm looking forward to the pain, but I know that with pain comes growth. One of my favorite sayings is always, the deeper the dive, the higher we rise. So me as a coach, I am most definitely taking you to greater lengths, and I'm going deep with you within your subconscious, within your literally within your way of being. I want to get into the nitty gritty. I want to learn about you. I want to mold you. I want to help you grow, expand, learn, educate you, all the things. And my containers are usually, 6 months, give or take. And it's a lot that we go through. We are going to have many highs and many lows, and you have to trust me and trust yourself that you can get through that, right? And so I literally always preface it with that, because that's the kind of client that I want to work with. That's the kind of client that I am to my coaches. And so, and it works wonderfully. And so that's the type of person that I'm calling into my containers. And I always warn of, like, are you sure you're ready to really do this? Like, are you going to be in it for the long haul? And when we get that yes, it's like, okay, cool. I'll email you all the information. We'll sign and we'll start on X date. And it's beautiful and it's amazing. And it makes me so happy and excited to work with X individual. There's nothing like working with an aligned client. And on the same token, there's nothing like working with an aligned coach. And so if you're thinking about, like, damn, I think Julissa's really motivating me to get a mentor. Like, yeah, let's get into it, right? First and foremost, like, where are you trying to go in life? What is the goal that you are trying to achieve? And can X person get you there? Or what kind of person can get you there? Let's say it's not about business. Let's say it's about losing weight. Let's say it's about losing weight. And let's say you're looking at a plethora of fitness coaches around you, whether it's on Instagram or wherever else you find them these days, and you're trying to find someone that you align with. Again, they got to be likable. You have to like them, know them, trust them, look into their content, see what they're talking about, see if their views align with you. It's like, this is the difference between coaching and therapy. Like with a therapist, you're kind of going in there blindedly. The therapist can't really share much about themselves, and there's a reason for that. And you don't really get to see them in a social viewing. It's usually just a little bit more professional, ethical in their eyes of the therapist world, right? Like the therapist is a blank slate. And listen, therapy works wonders. I'm just showing you the difference between coaching and therapy. It's different, right? With a coach, you get to like literally vet them, if you may, experience their energy. Maybe they probably have like a freebie or a masterclass or something that you can get your hands on and see if you like that kind of experience, whether it was free or like $17 or something, right? And you buy into them, like you literally buy into them. Like, do I like this? Do I feel like we could work well together? And then you look into mentorship with them. So again, what kind of mentorship are you looking for? Where would you like to be in your life? You're finding someone that has done what you want to do, and you're looking to them for guidance to get there faster. One of the greatest things that I love in my coaching programs, I have a couple, but it's I want you to get from point A to point B a little bit faster than how I got there. That's my goal. I used to run an entrepreneurship program where I mentored individuals in a group. I now do that in a one-to-one, but when I was doing it in a group, I would always teach that if my first sale was, which it was $1,000, my goal is for you guys to at least make 2K off of your first program, at least profit 2K, right? Because that means that you would have taken all my knowledge and more, and gain more. That's literally the whole point. If it took me 4 months to get there, I want to get you there in 2 months or less, right? Like that's the whole point of hiring a coach is so that you can get there in a faster time with a more direct path, and it's tailored to you, right? So you can listen to what the coach is saying and what they're offering to you as advice, and then you can say that works for me and that doesn't. I think I'll take this and leave that, and that's cool, right? As long as you're getting from point A to point B faster and receiving hopefully better results than what they did in their beginnings, right? So I hope that gives you insight as to all the things that, all the reasonings as to why mentorship is it's so vital. It's so important for me. It's such a loving, energetic relationship. The coach that I have now has, gosh, she's helped me so much with the insides of my business. She's really helped me feel more of a CEO than ever before. I will say that before her name is Tamar Sassoon. Before her, I was really good at making money, and that's great. You need cash flow for a business. And I was really good at help. I was always good at helping people. I was a therapist prior to, so like I had this in the bag in that sense. But she's helped me clean up things in the back end that I'm having, allowing for systems to run for me. I am networking more. I am elevating the professionalism in my business with her. Every coach kind of served a different purpose for me, depending on what stage I was in my business and what I needed at that time. And what I will say is that if you go on this journey of mentorship, you begin to learn more and more about yourself and what kind of coach, what you need from a coach, I will say. So I think in the beginning, for my first coach with Taylor Ray, it was like I was a puppy dog, like eyes, like starstruck of like, oh my God, you're amazing. Like, I want to learn from you. And I did so much. And I was just like, take me. I will learn anything and everything from you, right? Like, and not that I didn't have goals for myself, but I was just a baby in the game of like business, and of knowing myself in that sense of like in that type of container of coaching, right, and that type of mentorship, and to now, like, working with Tamar and even Melissa. I've hired Melissa and both Tamar a couple of times now. And when I go back to them, like for the next level up, it's kind of like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I've done since we've worked together last. And this is where I want to go. And I want you to help me with X, Y, and Z. Like I'm almost like a professional mentee at this point where I know exactly what I need, what I want, what I desire, and I'm hiring them to help me get there. Right. And so, yeah, I hope that gives you a good overview of why it's so critical. And if you're listening to this and you're wondering if you're able to work with me, yes, we are accepting new clients at this time. And I will say, click the link in my show notes to learn more about what I do. But a quick overview is, I run a motherhood program for mamas with little ones under the age of 7. And we do a whole bunch there, and you can click the link to learn more. So I'm a empowerment coach for mamas, and I'm also a mental health coach for individuals looking to achieve more resiliency, wealth, and alignment in their lives. So that could look like business, or that could look like standard life coaching and getting you through a phase in your life where you need up leveling, where you desire up leveling. And yeah, if this episode spoke to you, apply, and I would be honored to read and connect with you and learn more about you. And if you love this episode but you don't want to work with me, that's amazing too. And I hope that this gave you direction to at least taking the proper steps in finding your next mentor and looking for mentorship. And last thing I'll say is that you don't have to look for mentorship from a broken place or a place of despair or fixing. At this point in my life, again, this is, I've been doing this for a while now. Even before coaching, it was therapy. At this point in my life, it's never that. It's never like, oh my God, I need you, come fix me. It's like I'm looking to elevate. My one-to-one program is literally called elevation coaching. So yeah, if you're looking to elevate, that's a really good place to be in. If you're looking for an expansive rise, if you're looking to be challenged and like you already know that you're killing it in life, and you want to do even more, and you want to be held and supported because you know with expansion comes growth and growing pains. That's a great place to be mentored in. So yeah, I hope this was insightful. I would love to hear, within any comments, either take a screenshot of this and let me know what hit most for you. Uh, Tag me on IG at the healthy.high performer or leave a review, please. It helps this show get seen more. I hope it was helpful, and I hope you learned a lot. All right, guys, until next time. Bye. Thank you for tuning into Mindset Mastery with Julissa.Edwards. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast to receive future episodes packed with valuable insights. Remember to follow us on social media at thehealthy.highperformer for more inspiration, tips, and updates. If you found this episode helpful, we'd appreciate it if you could share it with your network and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us as we continue to empower high performers like you. Until next time, keep mastering your mindset and thriving as a healthy high performer.